The Lynette Brown Show. This be the Lynette Brown Show.
She's always ready and on time.
The Lynette Brown Show.
When you got something that's on your mind.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Whatever you got going on, she knows the deal.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Where we always keep it real.
Good morning and welcome to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the best talk show of the South. Woo! I am the Fiery Diva, keeping the airwaves hot on your favorite station. Thank you guys for tuning in with me once again. Got a nice show lined up for you, ladies and gentlemen. You will not see a lot of the Diva today because I actually got some footage from the MLK breakfast this past week. And of course, you know, we celebrated Martin Luther King Day. And I just wanted to bring that experience to you all. A lot of the kids got scholarships. In fact, every child that was an applicant received a scholarship. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm not going to babble on. I've got to go into a quick commercial break. And when we come back from this commercial break, we'll go right into that footage. Thank you. Tax Services. Give them a call at 256-353-0379. Again, that number is 256-353-0379. Or stop by 1201 Danville Road, Decatur, Alabama. Let a good man do your taxes.
Hey folks, welcome to Eddie Pruitt Ford right here in Hartselle, Alabama, where our gigantic year-end clearance sale is underway. That's going to mean great savings to you on every new and used car and truck on the lot. In addition to that, what we've got now is something you're going to love. That's a lifetime powertrain warranty. Any new or used car or truck that you buy at Eddie Pruitt Ford, free of charge, no price to you, lifetime powertrain warranty, only at Eddie Pruitt Ford. If you want to buy a new Ford car or truck, save money, and get great protection, you do it right here at Eddie Pruitt Ford.
Let me first of all thank each of you for, there's a lot of folks that were supposed to be off work today and doing nothing this morning. But for 21 years, you know, I've just been amazed at Decatur's concern for their children and for their community and for their brother as a whole. And so you've never let us down on this particular day for this particular event. It's always been about our children. It's always been about making sure that they have an opportunity to succeed and to come back to Decatur and work once we succeed. So we're here to celebrate them today, and you guys have every year have come here to celebrate this with us. And I can tell you what, I think we have the finest 21-year-old partnership of anybody in Decatur. I wouldn't trade this relationship because I know the commitment that each of you makes individually and collectively to make sure that we're able to help these kids move forward. Is the pre-K initiative that we got involved in. We partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and with the Board of Education and with, you know, several, the housing development, there was the, and it's, you know, 7 or 8 of us got together and we said we have to move this ball forward. And Lord, thank you for Terry Collins' passion and vision around moving that ball forward, because with the Quality Education Committee at the Chamber, we were able, and again, this very generous community, we were able to add 8 classrooms for pre-K children in the K. Now, that's incredible because the passion around that is, if a child cannot read by 3rd grade, they know how many prisons they will need for the future. And if we sit around and do nothing about that, then they ought to put some of us in prison because that's a crime. This is our first contribution toward pre-K. George, we give $5,000 today to make sure that we continue the pre-K program.
Without a dream, without someone like Martin Luther King capturing a dream directly from God, straight from the throne of God, that young man can't run with it. You know, Martin Luther King has impacted me as a young Latino and young at 55, and as a young Latino moving to the south of Alabama from Massachusetts, New Mexico. You know, to see the difference and the impact that it has made in young Latinos. We see our schools now. We see my daughter Cheyenne is actually a recipient of one of the She's in Tuscaloosa majoring in medical science. So I see that. But when I think of Dr. Luther King, I think about a man of character. I think about a man of integrity. I think about a man with passion. I think about a man with purpose. I think about a man with destiny. I think about a man that received the dream from God that was his desire, that says, you know what, all my people are created equal. And that's God's desire for us. You know, one day, if we know Christ, we will go to heaven one day and we'll be there together. Every culture, every race, the word says that. I believe that Martin Luther King was the type of a man that he heard a word from God, and you know what, he stood on that word. Ephesians says, when you've done all you can, stand.
In 1967, Dr. King isolated himself from the demands of the civil rights movement. He rented a house in Jamaica with no phone and labored over his final masterpiece. And that book stood out so vividly. And the question that he asked in this book, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? In this book, Dr. King laid out his plans and he made his thoughts come alive and dreams for American future, including the needs for better jobs, for higher wages, for decent housing, and for quality education. And with a universal message of hope, that question, where do we go from here? And I believe that it is resonating right now, this morning, in this place. Because as I look into your faces, there's no doubt a strong picture of a group of people that's maintaining your individuality and your uniqueness, but you're coming as one. To live life together and to move toward goals, to encourage one another, to share with one another, to handle conflicts, to work together, to stand against attacks together, and most of all, what Jesus said, loving ye one another. We always perceive ourselves as people of freedom, freedom of equality, of human decency, the right to live without fear. These freedoms have been given to us by many who sacrificed greatly. And somehow we have believed the war has been won, that we have arrived. But if we open our eyes, we can see that the dream has not yet been realized. For there are still battles in fights. There are still inequalities that are present. There are still souls of suffering. But our faith demands more than awareness. Dr. King said, a good neighbor looks beyond the eternal accidents and discerns those inner qualities that makes all men human.
Funeral services were held for Ruby Lee Clemens Garth of Decatur, Alabama, at Macedonian CP Church in America, January 18, 2014, with the Reverend Leo Fuquay officiating and the Reverend Dr. G. Lynn Herring, host pastor. Reynolds Funeral Home announces with deepest sympathy the passing of Mr. Thomas A. Hardy, 73, of Decatur, Alabama. Mr. Hardy died January 20, 2014, in the emergency room of the Decatur Morgan Hospital Parkway campus. The family will conduct a memorial service and will be announced later. brought to you in parts by Alabama A&M University. Call for registration 256-372-5245. Again, that number is 256-372-5245, home of the Bulldog.
To you this morning, my friends, that somewhere along the way you should discover something that's so dear, so precious to you, that is so eternally worthful that you will never give it up. You ought to discover some principle. You ought to have some great faith that grips you so much that you will never give it up. Never. Somehow you go on and say, I know that the God that I worship is able to deliver me. But if not, I'm going on anyhow. I'm going to stand up for it anyway. What does this mean? It means in the final analysis, you do right not to avoid hell. If you're doing right merely to keep from going to something that traditional theology has called hell, then you are doing right. If you do right merely to go to a condition that theologians have called heaven, you are doing right. If you are doing right to avoid pain and to achieve happiness and pleasure, then you are doing right. Ultimately, you must do right because it's right to do right. You got to say, but if not. You must love ultimately because it's lovely to love. You must be just because it's right to be just. You must be honest because it's right to be honest. This is what this text is saying more than anything else. And finally, you must do it because it has gripped you so much that you are willing to die for it if necessary. And I say to you this morning that if you have never found something so dear and so precious to you that you will die for it, then you aren't fit to live. Make it plain. Make it plain. You may be 38 years old as I happen to be. And one day some great opportunity stands before you and calls upon you to stand up for some great principle, some great issue, some great cause. And you refuse to do it because you are afraid. You refuse to do it because you want to live longer. You're afraid that you will lose your job, or you're afraid that you will be criticized, or that you will lose your popularity. Are you afraid that somebody will stab you or shoot at you or bomb your house? And so you refuse to take the stand. Well, you may go on and live until you are 90, but you're just as dead at 38 as you would be at 90.
The Lynette Brown Show. This be the Lynette Brown Show.
She's always ready and on time.
The Lynette Brown Show.
When you got something that's on your mind.
The Lynette Brown Show.
Whatever you got going on, she knows the
Show.
Well, we always keep it real.
And the other thing is this. I'm concerned about a better world. I'm concerned about justice. I'm concerned about brotherhood, and I'm concerned about truth. When one is concerned about that, he can never advocate violence. Through violence, you may be able to murder a murderer, but you can't murder murder. Through violence, you may be able to murder a liar, but you can never evaluate the truth. Through violence, you may murder a hater, but you can't murder hate through violence. Darkness cannot eliminate darkness. Only light can do that. I say to you, I've also decided to stick with love. For I know that love is ultimately the only answer to mankind's problems. I'm going to talk about it everywhere I go. I know it isn't popular to talk about love in certain circles, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm not talking about it in terms of some emotional bosh. I'm talking about a strong and demanding kind of love. For I've seen too much hate. I've seen too much hate on the faces of sheriffs in the South. I've seen too much hate on the faces of too many Klansmen and too many white citizens, counselors in the South. I hate myself. Because every time I see it, I know that it does something to their faces, to their personalities. And I say to myself that hate is too great a burden to bear. And I've decided to stick to love. You're seeking the highest good. I think you can find it through love. And the beautiful thing is that we are moving wrong when we do that. Because John was right. God is love. He who hates does not know God, but he who loves has the key that unlocks the door to the meaning of ultimate reality. And so I say to you today, my friends, that you may be able to speak with the tongues of men. Tongues of angels may have the elegance to articulate your speech. But if you don't have love, it means nothing.
Welcome back to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. Whew, I am the fiery diva, keeping the airwaves out on your favorite station. Thank you guys for coming back with me. You've got so many other options, but you decided to come back with me, and I do appreciate it. You guys are watching the MLK. This is footage from the breakfast that they had this past week, ladies and gentlemen. It was a wonderful thing. A lot of things were going on there. A lot of tears, a lot of joy. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen, and I know you guys are going to enjoy this. Wasn't it remarkable the way this guy was able to mimic Dr. Martin Luther King? Incredible, incredible, ladies and gentlemen. So if you missed it, I'm going to show you just a little bit more. Like I said, you will not see much of the diva today, but I hope you guys continue to tune in with me, and I do appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. We got more coming.
Welcome to Eddie Pruitt Ford right here in Hartselle, Alabama, where our gigantic year-end clearance sale is underway. That's going to mean great savings to you on every new and used car and truck on the lot. And in addition to that, what we've got now is something you're going to love. That's a lifetime powertrain warranty. Any new or used car or truck that you buy at Eddie Pruitt Ford, free of charge, no price to you, lifetime powertrain warranty only at Eddie Pruitt Ford. If you want to buy a new Ford car or truck, save money and get great protection, you do it right here at Eddie Pruitt Ford.
Tax services. Give them a call at 256-353-0379. Again, that number is 256-353-0379, or stop by 1201 Danville Road, Decatur, Alabama. Let a good man do your taxes. Lynette Brown Show is brought to you in parts by Alabama A&M University. Call for registration 256-372-5245. Again, that number is 256-372-5245, home of the Bulldog.
Ascend to the heights of academic achievement so that you have all of the knowledge and you may boast of your great institutions of learning and the boundless extent of your degrees. But you have not love. You have nothing. And all of these mean absolutely nothing without love. You may even give your goods to feed the poor. You may bestow great gifts to charity, and you may tower high in philanthropy, but if you do not have love, your charity means nothing. And I want to say to you as I move to my conclusion, as we talk about where do we go from here, that we must honestly face the fact that the movement must address itself to the question of restructuring the whole of American society. And there are 40 million poor people here. And one day we must ask the question, why are there 40 million poor people in America? When you begin to ask that question, you're raising a question about the economic system, about a broader distribution of wealth. You ask that question, you are asking a question about a capitalistic society. And I'm simply saying that more and more we've got to begin to ask the question about the whole of society. We're called upon to help the discouraged beggars.
Tax Services. Give them a call at 256-353-0379. Again, that number is 256-353-0379, or stop by 1201 Danville Road, Decatur, Alabama. Let a good man do your taxes.
It's my hope that the few facts that I share will make you aware that the scholarships given this morning will make a difference in the lives of those students receiving them. However, these dollars that the students receive today is just the beginning of the support that they will need to be successful. We would need each of you to support and make a commitment to these students. Michaela Hayes, Callie Ford, Katie Marina, Bianca Wood, Victavius Mangum, congratulations. The next category, Nathaniel W. Tate Sr. for $1,000. Claire Long. Nikki Bird Scholarship of $1,500 goes to Brianna Bird.
LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show of the South. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I have got to go. If you need to get in contact with me, my number is on the screen. You can reach me by email, text, however you need to get in contact with the diva. If you got any show ideas or you just want to come and be a guest on the show, just give me a call, ladies and gentlemen, or just send me a text or an email. But this is my time, and I do appreciate yours. Thank you so much for tuning in to the LBS, the hottest, the biggest, the baddest talk show